on energy conservation techniques for patients who have COPD and pneumonia. So why would you want to conserve energy in the first place? So because of the condition, they have decreased tolerance to activities or exercise, so we have to figure out ways to kind of make sure that they're not running out of breath constantly and fatiguing themselves. So the 4 P's that go into this are planning, pacing, prioritize, and positioning. Planning, making sure that you're planning whatever chores or activities you have to do at times of the day or week when you know that your energy level is going to be able to sustain that activity. Pacing, whenever you do that activity, make sure you're doing it at a pace that isn't going to wear you out. Prioritizing, cut out all the toxic, unuseful things in your life, i.e. unnecessary activities that would exhaust you otherwise, whether it be going out with friends. You have to choose your friends, make sure they're worth going to study with. Positioning, if you're picking up items, making sure that those items are all kind of clumped together so you have to make fewer trips, and also that they're at a height where you're not having to constantly be bending or reaching, again, trying to conserve all that energy. And then also, breathing exercises, pursed lip diaphragmatic, we'll get into that later on. So through this, we'll have 3 different patients that will follow for these 4 Ps, and we'll just kind of apply each of those to each of the P's to each of those patients. So, like I said, we'll have a young person who in this case will have pneumonia, a middle-aged person who has COPD, and an elderly person who also has COPD. We kind of gave them a little bit of a backstory to make it easier to talk about how you would apply these different these 4 different P's into their scenarios. So, young person will be just your typical student. Middle-aged person, you really needed a solid guy, a family guy. And an elderly person, turns out Danny DeVito's like in his 70s, so he's our target man for that. Couldn't find him in a retirement home, but that'll be our scenario.
Okay, so I'll be talking about this student, the young individual with pneumonia. So for planning, we imagine they have a really active lifestyle, and they're really social. They're also involved in school, so they're really busy. So in order to conserve energy, hopefully plan to live on campus, and to get to classes you can use a motorized scooter, apparently, or we could do Heelys, apparently. And then we're gonna plan to work out or do important tasks at high stamina times. And then we do not want to work out or do social events or anything on days with multiple things going on. So we're just going to prioritize, like Ted said, they're a little young to learn what's important and what's not important, but they'll prioritize what they have to do and what brings them joy first, and hopefully on different days of the week. Pacing, so that's going to be keeping rest in mind, because rest is important. For us ladies, if you're getting ready for a social event and we'd like to sit down to do our makeup and our hair instead of standing. A shower. Ted thought this was weird, I did not, so I'll just say it. I know it's a thing, but after a shower, if you want to conserve, I don't do it, but if you want to conserve energy, instead of drying off with a towel manually, you can put a robe on so that you conserve energy that way. It is a thing. And then placing dishes on the rack instead of manually drying them, just to save some energy on little tasks throughout the day. And then prioritizing, like I said, only go to study groups, or not just study groups, but social events if necessary, or if it's gonna bring them joy. And then positioning, we learned about the optimal zone. So carrying, have everything in the optimal zone. As like the heavy textbooks, we want them at a place on the desk where it's accessible to reach and easy for them. And then we do want them to sit while they're studying. Did you raise your hand?
No.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sit while they're studying, and then avoid a short desk for their flex posture. You want them to have a better posture, so correct desk height.
The scooter zoomed off. All right, so for a middle-aged person, so coincidentally, he has a TV show, Guy's Groceries. So when you're planning your grocery trips throughout the week, you want to make sure you're doing that or any other chores that you have on days where you're not having to do a lot of other walking around, that kind of thing, because again, energy conservation. If you have to take kids to soccer, maybe have the grocery trip earlier in the week so you're not exhausted by the time you finish picking them up for soccer practice. Also, when you're grocery shopping, making sure you get the grocery cart, or even getting the little motorized cart so you're not having to walk around the grocery store. And being familiar with the grocery store too helps for efficiency in terms of not having to repeat going down the same aisles to get the same thing that you just walked by. So that could be another way to plan and conserve energy. Pacing, if you have to walk your kids to the bus stop or something like that, giving yourself plenty of time if you need to take rest breaks on the way there, that way you're not rushing yourself. And take, in general, just rest breaks as needed during any periods of exertion. Prioritizing, if you have a spouse, you can ask them to assist with daily chores around the house or other household activities. You have to have that conversation with them, like, I'm not just blowing it all off on you, I'm conserving energy, so you have to navigate that carefully. And then positioning, whenever you're storing items like in the pantry or in the fridge, again, try and make sure that they're all in a level of height that you're not having to constantly squat or reach. And then if you're carrying stuff like your cooler to Flavortown, being sure to carry it at the optimal zone, like Izzo was saying, close to your center of gravity, and keep it close to your body, so that way you're not trying to spend a lot of energy carrying your cooler.
All right, so like with your elderly person, again, with planning, you're gonna try and get those tasks, like, so let's say you're gonna vacuum the house, or if you're gonna wash or clean the bathroom, you wanna separate those into different days. So maybe one day you do the vacuuming, another day you're gonna do the dishes, another day you're gonna do just clean the bathroom. It's really kind of dividing up the heavy tasks with the light tasks. So you might do the vacuuming on Monday, and then Tuesday you might clean the dishes. And then Wednesday you might clean the bathroom. So not doing all the heavy chores on one day. As far as pacing goes, trying to give yourself rest breaks throughout the tasks that you're doing. So if you're vacuuming, you might be vacuuming for a half hour. Have maybe like a 5-10 minute break in between, so you're not just continuously going through the task all the way through, which will tire you out. And then prioritizing, people who are in like a retirement home, oftentimes you get assistance to actually do your chores for you, to help you or your household tasks. Also, you're thinking about shopping, as they kind of talked about, they have things that, if your person is tech savvy, they have like Instacart, so they can do your shopping for you, so you don't have to go out and do grocery shopping. And if they're willing to give up some of their independence, you can have like a cleaning service come in and do your cleaning for you, so you don't have to do all those heavy chores. So, and then positioning, kind of what we talked about before, when you can use different alternatives, you can have like a lightweight wheelchair versus a front wheel walker, which is more efficient, use less energy. If your apartment or facility allows you to do that with the setup, which they should. Then just having your wheelchair effectively set up so you're not having to expose more or use more energy than you have to. It's kind of beat into already, but using very efficient patterns. So when sitting down when you're doing your chores, so if you're gonna clean the bathtub, you can sit in like a stool and clean your bathtub, or if you're gonna do the dishes, sit at the counter or the sink versus standing, which can actually take more energy. And also when you're actually standing, making sure you're upright in a good, efficient pattern so you're not wasting energy.
Okay, so for breathing techniques, I'll be showing pursed lip, and Chad will be showing diaphragmatic, and Ted here will be our patient. So Ted, if you'll go ahead. Okay, so if our patient is short of breath, or if we notice their oxygen has dropped, because we should be checking oxygen within their session, keep going. We notice that, then we can educate on breathing exercise. So for pursed lip, for Ted, I would educate him. I'll just do it. So Ted, I'm gonna have you breathe in. Don't close your mouth. We're gonna breathe in through your nose and take a deep breath. Well, in just 1 second, Ted, and then we'll do it. So we're gonna breathe in through your nose, and then you're gonna close as if you're blowing out a candle, really light and gentle. We're gonna try to make our exhale a little bit longer than our inhale. Okay? So breathe in through your nose. We count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and then exhale slowly. Blow out a candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and then again, and we would repeat until they feel better, they're not as short of breath, or we can do it for about a minute and just see how they are and reassess their oxygen. You, sir.
All right, so for diaphragmatic breathing, we're just trying to get a nice good inhale, breathing through the belly. So Ted, what I want you to do is you're gonna breathe in through your nose, try and fill up, get nice, some air in your belly, and then exhale, kind of blow out through your mouth, just a nice little sigh, good. You wanna feel kind of one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. As you breathe in, you want to kind of feel that air enter your belly, and then chest rise. Nice deep breath in, and then exhale, kind of sighing on the way out. So you're going to breathe in for about a 3 to 4 second. You're going to exhale for about 4 to 5, trying to get the air out. Just nice deep breaths. You want to think about filling up that belly with air, and then exhale. Nice controlled breaths.
all of these, I don't know, energy decreases throughout the day, is the goal to minimize your amount of activity? Because then it just seems like your lung performance is only gonna get worse.
It's to
So-
sustain the energy throughout an activity that you've chosen.
Okay, so this is like specific to those activities as opposed to a collective decrease.
Yes, rather than
in
giving
caloric
25% for each activity, we want you to be able to perform the activity with enough energy.
Okay.
So, and that's the right answer, definitely, because you don't want people to feel like they keep running out of gas, and so they just shut down and don't do anything. So you're giving them techniques to help them live life, right, to make life happen. So they hit on, you guys did a great job. COPD and pneumonia are huge. Pulmonary fibrosis and MS are the other two big diagnoses that you want to work on energy conservation with. You want to be monitoring oxygen with these people, right? So if on, let's say the practical, you have someone with one of these diagnoses and you get them up and they become short of breath, what are you going to do? Take the oxygen, try some breathing techniques. Because we want to give them a way to still live life. So what if there's not a chair around them when they're up in the kitchen and they get short of breath? So teach them to stop, stand, and use those deep breaths that you're teaching them. And then with your pulse oximeter, let them know if their oxygen came back up. Okay? In particular for MS, I don't know if you guys commented on this, doing things in the morning when they have more energy. Because when they try to do it later in the day, they're exhausted. So in all of these as well, heat or moisture makes their breathing harder. So you also kind of want to talk to them about that as well. So if they're doing something in the afternoon and it's warmer out, like Phoenix in July, they might get wiped out and you don't want them to fall or have an incident. So that's something to also think about. And you did mention the wheelchair. The transport wheelchair is about 15 to 20 pounds lighter than a regular wheelchair. So that's always something we like to recommend. If they have any of these diagnoses and they're an appropriate candidate, a four-wheel walker is ideal for them because they're carrying around their own seat. And it's easier to push with the four wheels. Also, purchasing a pulse oximeter. These people should all have a pulse oximeter and know what the values mean. Yes?
You mentioned pneumonia, COPD, and MS. I feel like there was a fourth one.
Pulmonary fibrosis.